Maybe. Wonderful. Hey, it's Bruce Hill, New Skills, New You. How will we make sales simple for startup founders? You notice this lovely background behind me. This is my parents' house. My mom's been learning the guitar, which I'm super proud of her about that. One new skill will change your life. It doesn't matter how old you are. So today, a new friend of mine in the startup community, Asher Williams, is joining us. We're discussing how to introduce yourself so that people want to hear more. And I created this webinar, workshop, masterclass, whatever you want to call it, completely on accident because I asked someone, like, what are you struggling with? And they said, I tell people what I do and they don't seem to get it. I know it's a really good idea. People don't seem to get it. And I was like, do I have the skills and ability to solve this? So this Sunday, right now, we're going to solve it together. And it's actually really easy. Let's see here. Let's share screen. And Astrid, if you're open, you'll get a little live coaching. Share your business. Let's see, share screen. I feel like a boomer. How do I turn this into a PDF? Mm-mm. There we go. Okay. Let's bump this up a little bit. How to explain what you do so that people want to hear more. When I talk about introductions, there's three points of three that I really want to cover really quickly, and we'll dive into the how. An introduction should be clear, concise, and compelling. And so when I say clear, it means that it's more important to be clear than it is to be clever. We want it to rhyme, we want it to be, an analogy, or maybe a play on words, but it ends up being confusing. If you try and be clever, it ends up being confusing. We really should focus on being clear. Concise is not short. It's not just using the fewest number of words. Concise is using the right words. And compelling means to move to action. So that could be, hey, yeah, I want to talk to you. Let's schedule a call. It could be, oh, hey, I know someone I want to introduce you to. Compelling moves them to action. What we don't want is if they're like, oh, okay, that's nice. Well, talk to you later. Right? Then we know what we said wasn't compelling. So we want to start off clear, concise, and compelling. And then I actually teach a whole nother training on clear, concise, and confident. And one of the biggest things that you can control, even if it's the absolute wrong crowd, if you're confident in how you say and what you say, use words like I can or I will, um, and avoiding words like trying or hopeful, that transfers confidence. And so this time when we talk about concise, we talk about did we say the most in the least amount of words, right? Did we get to the point? And then our mnemonic for clear is easy to understand, is easy to decide. We want people to decide, hey, you're someone I need to talk to. So if you got clear, concise, and compelling, and then again, it's clear, concise, and confident. And then next is going to be clarity, which, yes, that is a synonym. Stay with me. Clarity, curiosity, and conversation. A good introduction should bring clarity to that person. Not only what is this about, but who it's for. Is this valuable to me? Curiosity, well, I don't want to assume it's self-explanatory. Curiosity is matter like, that's interesting. You've ever been talking to someone and they're like, their eyes glaze over and you realize they stopped listening a long time ago. Curiosity, they're asking questions, are engaging, and that's what happens is it creates a conversation. That's the purpose of an introduction. It's not to get a sale. Every now and then it'll happen. It does. Where you say the right thing to the right person, at the right time, you're like, hey, yeah, skip all the steps. How do I pay you? But that's not often enough for you to grow a business. So I teach a course on turning conversations into clients, and it's a conversational approach towards sales meetings. Really great. I actually wrote it originally for introverts. It works so well. I just teach it to everybody. But I was struggling like, why isn't this converting higher? And I realized that turning more conversations into clients is good if you're already having conversations. Um, so where do these conversations come from? It comes from the introduction. This is where it starts. And quite literally and figuratively, the beginning of a relationship, future client, future investor, even future partner or future founder. It comes from the introduction. That's how we get to the conversation. So that means we have to have a strong introduction. We have to have an introduction that's clear, it's concise, it's confident, it's compelling, it creates curiosity and leads to a conversation. Like it has to happen, or nothing else in the business is going to grow. And once I had that epiphany, like, wow, this is so important, a so important part of our networking, of an interview, of a pitch meeting, a client conversation or prospect conversation. Why don't we have more trainings, more dialogue around creating a strong introduction? I couldn't find anything, so I created. So here is my formula. It's really simple. I say this almost verbatim every single time, any given person. And we'll talk about the context of where you use it. Maybe you don't give someone this whole entire spiel at line in Dunkin' Donuts. But I used to say Caribou coffee. I don't think they have those in a lot of places. So my best friend likes Dunkin', so we use Dunkin' now. So Dunkin', you might give them the short version. But maybe you're on a podcast and you're like, man, this is going to live forever. I need to make this count. Maybe you're giving a talk. Maybe you're pitching to investors. That's where we're going to use this longer one. So here's mine. I'll share it with you, and then we'll break down the different components so you can use it in your business. It's super simple. My name is Bruce Hill. I make sales simple for startup founders. I help them hear yes more often, turning more conversations into clients without sounding salesy. So they can stop wasting time in meetings that go nowhere. All right? That's it. Super simple. So this is the least important part. This is the least important part. I've had so many people having a conversation about their business and their needs and their sales process. And at the end, they're like, oh, hey, what's your name again? We try and make this the most important part. And this is where a lot of people mess up. They'll put their titles, they'll put their degrees, all those letters. That's not important. Not yet anyway. So I'm going to make this an orange flag. Don't get so distracted in telling people who you are that you don't explain to them why it's important. Okay. The next step, this is perhaps the most important. These 4 words made me $1,000 the other day. They need help writing some scripts for outbound campaign. 4 hours of work. They said, hey, what do you do? I was like, I make sales simple. He was like, really? Right? Hold on. What does that sound like? Curiosity. He's like, can you help me? I was like, well, I'll try. What's going on? Conversation. He's like, man, we've been making all these calls about 3 months and we haven't got any meetings booked. I was like, okay, what's your introduction sound like? And it spent a lot of time right here, maybe 25, 30 words. I actually stopped him. I was like, hey, yes, I can help you. I know what to do. Because this is what the people I'm looking for want. They know immediately. Let's go back up here to compelling. This is what I need to take action on because it's clear, it's concise, it becomes compelling to the right people. That's so simple, but simplicity closes deals. Now, you say, well, Bruce, I can't explain what I do. in 4 words, and that's okay. In my experience, it very rarely gets over 20 words. You can't explain what you do in 20 words. It's a poor explanation. That is pretty general rule. Honestly, you're doing really well if you can keep it under 10, but 20 is the max that I run into. And those are very, very niche services. So I need to explain very quickly. This is what I do. You'll notice what's missing is how. How is not important right now. Yeah. We spend a lot of time. Yeah. We'll say things like I make sales simple for startup founders by, right? One-on-one coaching, workshops, customized trainings. And that's not important right now. How is going to be for the conversation. If they ask you how, that's curiosity. That's great. That means you spoke with some clarity and you spoke with some confidence, became compelling. They're now curious and they want to have a conversation. And so you need to decide, are we going to have the conversation now or later? Most of the time, I encourage you to schedule that call. Get their name, phone number, email, say, hey, let's set a dedicated time to talk about this stuff so you can have my full attention and go get some more clients or some more prospects. Hey, Candace, this is streaming live to YouTube, but you're welcome to ask questions if you have them. We
Hello.
try to have, hey, welcome. We try to have a whole conversation impromptu, and that's not always a great idea. It does happen. I very rarely say things like never, but I want you to understand right now, our conversation, or excuse me, our goal, our purpose is to an introduction that creates clarity. Oh, hey, I get it. Creates curiosity. Hey, I want that. I want to learn more. And that leads to a conversation. That's the goal. We focus on that purpose, we're going to have stronger introductions. So most introductions do not need to explain how. I say most, rarely, always, and never apply. The most people in the most circumstances do not need to explain how. Do not waste the time or energy, because if I don't care about this part I've highlighted in green, then I certainly don't care about how you do it. And very quickly end up talking to ourselves. When you explain what you do very well, even the wrong person can get it and can recognize the right person. So that's why this next part is very important. We want to talk about who. I'm going to mark this in yellow because this can change. Sometimes, and this is right, if I'm at Tech Alpharetta. I live in Atlanta, Georgia. And so north of the city, there's a tech incubator called Tech Alpharetta. So when I'm there, I say, hey, my name's Bruce. I make sales simple for startup founders. Sometimes I'm at the Russell Entrepreneur Center no, let's see. Russell Innovation Center for Entrepreneurs. There we go. RICEs. You just call it RICE. And then I'll change it and I'll say, hey, my name is Bruce Hill. I make sales simple for entrepreneurs. All right. If I'm in a room like BNI, the Business Networking International Group, and say, hey, my name is Bruce. I make sales simple for business owners. Right? You see how that works? What I do doesn't change. Who I'm talking to may change. So I added those few sentences for folks like you and I who can help a lot of people. We can help more than just one vertical. Well, how do we make an introduction that talks to all of them? It depends on the context. Depends on the context and the time. So let's use a podcast. If there's a podcast and I know I'm I'm gonna be heard by a big group of people or a variety of people, I might say, hey, my name is Bruce Hill. I make sales simple for startup founders, entrepreneurs, and business owners. I help them hear yes more often. Okay. And then I will put it all together. So it's not wrong or right, it's context. And then it's time. If you don't have a lot of time, again, You're in line at Dunkin' Donuts, maybe bump into somebody. Oh, excuse me, sorry about that. Hey, no worries. I'm just headed to work. Oh yeah, what do you do? I'm an attorney. What about you? Oh, well, my name's Bruce. I make sales simple. Oh, okay. And they'll either ask you more. So we're going to come back up here. Screenshot this, Candace, if you just got here. But I do have slides for you at the end. If they ask you, that means you're curious. Say, hey, listen, I know you're going to work. Let me grab your card. Let's set up time to talk. But if they don't ask you, they're not curious, and that's fine. So I'm not going to waste my breath saying all of this. I'm just going to say the most important first step is what I do. So let me pause there. Questions, comments, concerns. This might be bothering somebody. Questions, comments, concerns.
Hey Bruce, just a quick question. Um, you're saying that it should just be one sentence, like one line. I know we talked about that last time, but just confirming it should just be one sentence, one line.
Great question. Yes. For this introduction, if someone asks, tell me more about that, then you tell them more about that. That's curiosity. For your introduction, if you cannot say what you do in less than 20 words, you are not clear on what you do, and no one else is going to be either. In my experience, it will very rarely be four. Mine just happens to be four. And I'm gonna show you some other introductions, if time permitting. So you can see some of them. I counted one was 17 words, and it was fabulous. That's okay. I don't want it to just be short, just for the sake of being short. But a general rule of thumb is if it's more than 20 words, you've got a little work to do. All right. Thank you for asking a great question. So this is what. Now, this is why. Some people call this I help statement. They'll say I help, I empower, I teach entrepreneurs how to hear yes more often. And that's fine. It's not the wrong way. It's just the way I do it. And that's the way I'm going to teach you. So when you say I make sales simple, why is that important? Or you might say, why is that important to me? Well, if you work with me and I help you make sales simple, here's what happens next. So we're proactively we're proactively answering the question for our future clients. Hey, listen, what happens next is you're going to hear yes more often. And an easy way to codify this in your mind is what do I help them do? Or you can ask yourself, hey, Astrid, what's the outcome? After someone works with me, what happens? So for me, say, Bruce, what happens when I work with you? Well, you'll hear yes more often. I started working with these folks, and just from our onboarding call, they got one new appointment. And it was because they spent less time talking about here and started talking about the outcome. So I'm expecting, well, assuming they follow through on the coaching, they're going to get a lot more appointments because we're going to help them have a stronger introduction. So this isn't just to spend some time on a Sunday afternoon. This can possibly transform your business because we're going to turn more conversations into clients, right?
So I have a question. Does this apply to web copy as well? So what if you don't have the opportunity for in-person conversations, but someone has your website and they go to it for the first time? So you
Great
want
question.
them to be able to know exactly when they are on the landing page or either peruse through the different things and not be confused, since you don't have the opportunity to engage with them in person. So
Excellent question. And so that is still their introduction to you, even though it's not in person. So I'm glad you said that. I need to add some examples when it's not in person. Like your website. The website should answer these questions for them proactively. Hey, I'm going to show you a website. What do you think they do? It should take me a few seconds to figure it out. In fact, I shouldn't have to figure it out. You should just tell me. So you go on the website and says, hey, I make sales simple. Oh, what do you think Bruce does? Well, apparently he makes sales simple, right? I don't want them to have to get out a pen and paper and do calculus to figure out what I do. So this is a great thing to use for copy. Your web page, landing page, emails, posts, right? Social media posts, or even if you're doing a live. We're going to proactively answer these questions. What do you do now? How does it help me? What's the outcome? All right. So I'm going to hear you ask more often. We turn more conversations into clients. Now, we're going to do what I like to call a contrast. This one is, but it's going to answer the question, but I don't want to be a salesperson. Most people are trying to save time, money, or resources. Resources can be people, can be office space, whatever that resource is. One thing I've learned is that people are afraid of sales because they don't want to sound salesy. So I put that in my introduction. Then here's the contrast. If you don't work with me, if you don't work with me, this is what happens.
So is that what they call the pain point?
Yes, that is very commonly what they call the pain point. So let's mark this in red. Actually, no, we're going to mark this in green because I want them to go from here to here. And I had to start doing this because some people aren't wasting time in meetings at Gonora, but they do want they want to hear yes more often. Some people don't even think about hearing yes more often because they're busy doing this. So it gets both groups of people, and then it gets a third group of people by creating contrast. Hey, this is where you might be, but this is where you could be. So for people that are good, they're doing well, and they want to do better, that line is very important. People that are doing poorly and just want to get to good, right? They just want to get to the baseline. This line is very important. The contrast, though, becomes very powerful. And this is, so far I've got what I call it, the C squared introduction, but I don't want people to think it's a math problem. So we're still workshopping that. That's the introduction. What do you do? Who is this for? How does it help me? How do you remove the barrier? That's what we'll call this. We'll call this in red. We'll call it the barrier. Right. Think about like how busy professionals that can lose weight without getting up any earlier. Right. You've heard this before. But now we have the pieces, so we're gonna do it on purpose. Okay, stop wasting time in meetings. Go nowhere. That's what they're dealing with. They're like, man, I'm talking to people. I had 8 sales calls last week. I'm like, great. How'd they go? No, I thought they went good. They didn't sign up. Okay, let's figure it out. I have to tell you a story of a friend of mine. That's exactly what happened to her. Until we worked on turning conversations into clients. That's the work we did for her. All right. So let's see here. Astrid said, can you look at my website and tell me what I do? Okay, sure. Let's take a look. And that's the reason it's so nice to do these things live. Like, thank you for watching our YouTube channel. But if you have the chance to on live, go to weeklywebinar.info, weeklywebinar.info, not .com, weeklywebinar.info, and you can sign up for the next one. And that's where you really can get a little competitive advantage because you can ask questions. All right, let's take a look here.
You can be brutally honest as possible.
Thank you. I appreciate your willingness for feedback. All right. Style isn't the whole brand, but it's the first thing they see. Okay. Okay. See, that's clever. It's not clear. But it's not, it's the first thing they see. So, okay. All right. At Sienna Girl Jones, we fuse beauty, leadership, and identity to help women build bold, unshakable brands. So I love this line. You see, this is exactly what he's talking about. Who? Women. What? Build bold, unshakable brands. What kind? So dive a little deeper. The kind that turns heads and opens doors. Man, I love that line. That's good. And then online or off. This is phenomenal. I like this a lot.
We'll
I
add
would put
context, and so maybe I will share that I have two audiences. So one working with businesses and companies, and then the second audience it would be individuals. And so when I say brands for the second, the latter part would be personal brand. And then the
it
first audience is in the traditional sense.
may be challenging to communicate, but the fact that you have to explain what you mean is indicative that it's not clear.
Yeah. So if you go to the What We Champion, I
So
was trying to, if you click on Elevate Your Brand, it will take you there directly.
what I would do is I would have a button, maybe split down the middle. I'm not a web designer or copy editor, but I split down the middle and I would say for blank on the left and for XYZ on the right. So underneath here, perhaps, where's my annotator? Oh, nice. Thanks, Zoom. All right, so right, we draw a line down the middle. Oh no, it's red, but it's red. And I would say for man, let me go back. Where's my text? Here we go. So on this one, you would say for individuals,
For
for
women
corporation.
or individuals. Yeah.
So for individual women, and you can change this, but I want the concept to be clear. And then this one will be for corporations, right?
Correct.
So here's the thing. Those are two different audiences, have different language, but the outcome's the same. So let's go back to, oh, let me stop annotating. Let's go back here. Can you see the Google Doc now?
Yes.
Or is it still on your website? You see, okay. So remember, I said I make sales simple. But so for I would put startup founders, right, on the left, and then maybe I put business owners on the right. Um, so this part doesn't change, but who can change? That's fine, as long as you're clear who you're talking to in that moment. So let's keep going. Let me clear this. That's gonna get confusing. Delete. Clear all drawings. Thank you. Okay. Enrollment now. Step into your power with your own edge. Step into your power with your own edge. 4 weeks of bold private brand coaching. I like that there's a call to action up here. Should nice above the fold.
So that's my big ticket offer. So I wanted to bring attention to that.
Okay. Yeah, that's smart to have it up top then. I forget what they call it. I think it's static. I might make it stay at the top as I scroll down. I think you can do that. Let's see here about. So this is exactly what I mean. I would encourage you to spend more time on who this is for versus who you are, what you do. We got to answer the question, how does this help me first? This line does really well at that. And I would love the chance to work with you on some clarity on the message. I think you have something really good here. Your explanation out loud made sense. I'm not sure if we're communicating that effectively here. All right, let's see here. Let's take a look at Canvas as well, because we can go through every tab, but welcome to We Wellness. I get it, but I bet you get that red squiggly line when you write this. You, me, we grow. Okay. Part of We Wellness. I think the really simple solution to this would be a dash, maybe, because in my mind, I have to ask myself, is this a typo? Okay, let's see. The heart of all lies power, truth, lasting health, equity, built through collective growth, strong together. Oh, I think I spoke with you before. I remember you talking about this. Okay, this is it right here. This is it right here. If I go to this web page, I've never seen it before. I'm like, what is this web page about? These three lines answer that question quickly and slick. I like this. We're here to reshape healthcare and build ethical solutions. So I will put this, I switch this up top because this makes me want to read more. This seems vague. Don't erase it, but it doesn't have context. This gives it context. This gives it significance. I'm like, oh, okay. You want to reshape healthcare, amplify voices, and build ethical solutions. How do you do that? Then you start to explain it here. What it is, why it's important. Yeah, this is 1, 2, and this one's 3. I think if you just flip that, I think it would be really good.
Okay, that makes sense. And
The
keep the
copy's good.
services button right there.
Which
So
button?
like if
This
you're
one?
interested, and if you just like click on that, it takes you down to like how we're doing it.
Right. But I don't care about how until I understand what it is.
Right. Okay. Okay.
That's good. That's good. Looks like we got a little formatting here. I know you're working on it.
Yeah.
Okay. How are we showing up? Yeah, that's good. That's good. Okay, you're onto something here. Okay. Thank you for sharing. That's a lovely thing about showing up live.
Thank you.
Let's see here if I can find this page. Should have written it down. Yes. Okay. This is a friend of mine. Cole, we appreciate you. You're amazing. What does she do?
It says clear damage, clear documentation, fewer disputes, AI. Yeah, I don't know.
So this is, oh, she had it up here. She had the answer at this top fold where it's in white. I don't know what happened. Hold on 1 second. I wonder if I got a cache to old version. No. Oh. Okay. So what's going on here? This is the answer.
No clue.
This is the answer. This was at the very top last week. I'm not sure if she didn't push the update because I was sitting next to her when she added this. So I've got it highlighted right here. What does she do?
If you're not familiar, I'm not familiar with hail damage is, like if it's in a different industry talk. So like tech talk. I'm not.
Not a trick question.
So
She
like
helps.
insurances, like insurance companies and everything about hail damage, like if they have to submit a claim.
So
When
you're right, but you're overthinking it. She proves hail damage. That's the answer.
But I guess from my perspective, so like if you're not in a certain industry, you don't know certain industry talk. But I think what Candace is saying, it's like what general, yeah, we all know what hail is, but I didn't know there was a business for hail damage.
That's my second point. Excellent points, both of you. Jessica, welcome. We are streaming on YouTube, just so you're aware. But you're welcome to ask questions. So anyone, well, almost any adult, especially someone who owns a home, understands these two words, right? We on the same page so far?
Yes.
Now,
yes.
this is important. So then here, let's go back up here. Let's do this one. This is very industry specific. If you
Yeah.
haven't been a homeowner that's received hail damage, claims adjuster, public adjuster, insurance agent, or related, these words may not make sense to you,
Yes. And as I was
even
saying,
though
like
there's
in
only
California,
6 of them.
we don't have as much of those issues. I mean, it rains, but you're not like on the East Coast where you have snow and all of that. So I like going back to my former dialogue is there is that I didn't know that you have specific insurance for hail damage. Over here, it's like earthquake damage,
Mhm.
but yes.
And that's why this needs to be at the top. Because as soon as I showed you this, you got it. You don't even have hail where you live. And this is where I need you to understand, Astrid, Candace, Jessica, whoever's watching this, whenever you're watching this, you cannot assume that the person you're talking to speaks the same language in a figurative sense. But I suppose in a literal sense, if they don't speak English, working on a couple more languages, right? Then we're really talking to ourselves. So let's go back to our formula. We need to answer these questions. Who are you? What do you do? Who is it for? So even if I don't understand why clear documentation leads to fewer disputes, if I tell you, hey, my name's Nicole, I created HailSpec to help as a smarter way to prove hail damage for insurance adjusters. You're going to say, oh, I know an insurance adjuster. Can they use this? And you say, hey, I'd love an introduction, right? So when you do a really good job of being clear and concise, it can become compelling to even the wrong person. The wrong person,
Excuse
like,
that
man, I don't
moment.
even own a home.
Yeah.
One moment. The wrong person is like, I don't even own a home. I live in a van down by the river. But they get it. Wait a second. My friend, and this is exactly what happened to me. I was like, oh, my friend's a public adjuster. She trains people how to be public adjusters. You should meet her. It was compelling. And so this is the formula. Let me write this down before I forget, and then I want to hear your point, Astrid. Who is it for? Why is it important? Transformation. What I need remove barrier. So barrier for me was like without sounding salesy, right? For you, online and all. Um, where did our friend Candace go? Oneness roots. Uh, 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 uh. No, that wasn't it. There's something you said that was good. Care successful, ethical.
The last line, the last three lines. We are here to reshape healthcare.
Maybe. Maybe it's implied. Maybe we need to write it down. Okay, we'll come back to that one. I had it in I thought in my head. So I can write things down right away. Right? Removing the barrier. So for me, that was without sounding salesy. For Sienna brand, right? It's online and off. So someone can't say, oh, well, I'm not a salesperson. Well, you're not going to sound salesy if you do it this way, right? And you're like, well, that's not going to work for my brand because I don't have an online presence. It's offline only, or vice versa. Like, oh, this doesn't work for my brand. We're only online. So you can remove that barrier, that excuse. Okay. All right. And then the contrast, problem, or challenge, right? And these two together create the contrast. Now, a little bonus. You want to end with a question or a call to action? Let me write that out. I don't want to assume. Call to action is, hey, if this is for you, schedule a call. Hey, if you want to learn more, click here, right? Like someone said, what is my webpage? If you want to learn more, click here. All right, join, enroll, sign up. That's a call to action. If you're in person, a question is really good. That might be as simple as, this is what I do. What do you do? Right? That could be the question. What do you do? Because remember, the goal of a good introduction is to create a conversation. So this is a formula. Put this in here. If you want to copy and paste it, if you want to screenshot, it's fine. That's the formula. So what do you do is down here. A smarter way to prove Hale's image. Who is it for? These industry leaders. I love to say insurance, right? And then why is it important? Oh, so she does a good job of that. Why is it important? And I want to use this site because this is how I want you to use it on your webpage, right? You're going to answer the same questions. The webpage has a little bit more space. You can use graphics and images like she did. So she says, why is it important? Inaccurate damage assessments are costing the industry billions a year. See, oh, she did it here. See, insurance industry. That's what I'm saying. So down here, uh-oh, battery's running low. One moment, please. When we say industry leaders, and this is actually, I want you to think about when you say women, you might consider, and this is some reflection you can do internally, and you can even talk to some of your ideal client. What are some adjectives from the script's words so know we're specifically talking to them? Or where was I? Why is it important? Because it's costing billions, right? And so her outcome is fewer disputes. And then the numbers tell a story of inefficiency that demands a solution. Love those powerful words. This is a little bit about who did it, but it's also who it's for. So I like that. Ah, this is beautiful. Asher, this is exactly what I was talking about. So you're right, you've got your women here, you've got your corporations. Maybe there's another group of people you discover, or just those two, it's fine. But this is exactly what I meant when you can tell them, hey, I'm talking to you, roofing contractors. Stop chasing approvals. If you're a roofing contractor, this approval is holding up the money. That's important to me. Independent adjusters. Increase your efficiency. But I tell you, people trying to save time, money, or effort, and your professional reputation. Oh, that's a nice touch. That's really good. I'm going to do a video on this whole page later, but insurance carriers, accelerate cycle times, reduce disputes. Again, that's very industry specific language. And so she removes the barrier by having a smarter way to do it. She removes the barrier with AI powered, so it's not going to take more work or more people. And then the problem challenge, we can really kind of circle back to the cost, and she has some great statistics here. This is that show, don't tell. All right, powerful numbers. And then the call to action, right? Well done. I'll definitely have to give this an 8 out of 10. One question we have to ask, which you all caught immediately, is who is this for? Or what do we say? What does it do? And that was all the way at the bottom. So it's there, to be fair, it is there. I would just love to see that higher up. Questions, comments, concerns?
No, that was good walking us through. Yeah.
If you can explain what you do in just a few words or less, the rest of the process becomes much easier. So I have a favor to ask. if you would, share a little feedback so I can continue to improve. You can scan it if you have your phone handy. Otherwise, let me put this in the chat. Yes. And just use code 888. You'll want to give you, in exchange for taking the time, a little feedback, is my Better Questions Toolkit. If you're watching this on YouTube, it should still be live. The Better Questions Toolkit is an exercise or a set of exercises to help you reflect and answer some of these questions that are going to strengthen your introduction. Teaches different types, the 4 different types of questions. A lot of people think there's only 2. It gives you context of when to use them, whether it's an introduction, sales call, or self-reflection. And then, of course, I would be remiss if I didn't include some specific examples. You don't have to come up with your own questions. I give you some I've used that help me create trainings just like this. Questions like, why aren't people having more conversations, right? And what I've learned is the better your questions, the better your answers. So if we go back to your website and you look at this, you asking questions like, what does this website say to me, right? And putting yourself in the shoes of the first-time visitor. Maybe it's your ideal client, and you want to ask questions from their perspective so you can proactively answer them, so you can turn more of the website visitors into opportunities. And we want to ask ourselves these questions ahead of time so we can clearly, concisely, and confidently answer them for the moment when we're asked in person. Maybe you're on a panel. Maybe you're at a networking event. Maybe you're back at Dunkin's in line again, right? He just had a long day. He had to get another sip of coffee. And what I realized, just like an introduction, is a simple way that I can help you grow your business. In just a few, how long have we been here? Under an hour. I'm like, what can I do to help you the most in the least amount of time? What information do you need so you can get a little farther, a little faster? And I realized what's going to help the most people the most impactfully is how to ask better questions. Because if you go back, I'm going to assume everyone's got this QR code. This is a question. This is a question. This is a question. This is a question. I built the introduction that I use over and over and over again by asking myself these questions and then answering them. But those answers come from the best questions. So if I could teach you to ask better questions, you can create your better introduction. You can ask better questions, you can have better conversations. If you have better questions, you're going to turn more of those conversations into the clients you want to keep. I had to add that because I don't want you to have more clients. I want you to have more of the clients you want to keep. All right, last thing. Takeaway. What's one thing that you're going to take away and put into practice from this training?
I'm going to flip my information on my website. And I was also able to take what it is I do from like 3 sentences, to 1. So
Wonderful.
thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you for sharing, Candace. Jessica, I know you caught the last half, the full thing's on YouTube. You want to go back. But what you did here, what takeaway do you have for us?
I need to look at my own site and see what information that I want the people to know up front. Yeah.
It's a great question to ask. What information I want them to know up front? Thank you for sharing, Jessica. Astro puts in the chat, being more clear on my audience and clear We convey what it is I do. Yes. You want to answer that question for them so they don't have to figure it out. They don't have to go looking for it. They don't have to click on another tab, scroll down. And you're all into the right track. Site looks beautiful, by the way. I don't think I said that out loud. All right. Everybody get a chance to get the Better Questions Toolkit. We good there? Just throw one in the chat. All right. Thank you for your presence and participation. It's been a pleasure to present to you. Wishing you all the success, everything you do. Until we meet again.